Brian McKnight, and I want to get his perspective and his words. And the girl was like, no, because he abandoned his kid. And I'm like, wait a minute. You don't even know. You going based off of do you not want to hear it from all sides first before you come to this conclusion? But see, this is why guys are so bitter. And this is my opinion. I know I'm interviewing you, but this is my opinion. This is why guys are so bitter, because anybody can spin a narrative and then it completely, try to ruin your reputation that you've spent a lifetime building. And instead of us having these grown men hold themselves accountable and take care of their business and take care of their kids, now they basically are baby boy.
I don't consider myself to be a particularly ethical person, but I am fair.
Welcome, my friends. My name is Antoine Phoenix, and this is my RP experience. Peace and love to all my brothers and sisters out there. Thank you for being here, seeing another one of my videos. Today's video is going to be about Brian McKnight. I know last video I was saying Johnny Gill. I don't know why I thought of Johnny Gill, but Brian McKnight, a R&B singer. I don't know if he's still making music now, but I'm pretty sure he probably still sings his classic songs that he had in the 90s now when he goes on tour. He was married, he had some kids, and then he married a foreign woman later, and he seems to be a lot happier now. We're going to explore what happened in that first marriage, because supposedly she has a story that obviously he abandoned his kids, that he was an unfaithful husband, which I do think anytime you mess with a celebrity, with men, they have lots of women throwing themselves at them. They're probably not going to be faithful. Okay, not until they get that out of their system. Even then, I don't know, because I think you get accustomed of living a certain lifestyle. It's hard to break a habit. You can break the habit, but it's hard to break the habit. That's why I think high body counts is both bad for men and women, but in different ways. For women, maybe sometimes it's a self-esteem thing and maybe feeling used up and men looking down on them because they have got too loosey-goosey. But I think with both genders, when you are sleeping with a whole lot of people, I think when you get in a relationship with somebody, anytime that you have any type of difficulties or a drought or argument, that you're probably going to lean into getting some booty or some D if you are a woman. I'm going to be reacting to a video by O'Shea Duke Jackson, which is reacting to a video from Antoine Daniels. And I'll be right back.
Brian McKnight is loved or hated, depending on who you ask. If it's the 90s or 2000s, ladies love his music. I mean, he's a very, very talented vocalist. And of course, when you love a singer, especially if it's an R&B singer, people are attached to your personal life. And when he married Julie McKnight in 1990, I mean, listen, the whole black community was excited. At this time, an up and coming R&B star who was married to a black woman, it was great. The issue is, by 2003, they would divorce.
Damn!
In 2017, he would meet Leilani Mendoza, a Filipino lady that he would fall head over heels in love with, but he had met her in 2012. And then something happened. Brian McKnight had a public beef with his ex-wife and his older kids from the previous relationship. And then you would just hear Brian McKnight saying things like this.
So lastly this week, I want to big up my man right here. See, he gets it. In order to live a life that you love, you have to get rid of the evil and the negativity, even if that evil and negativity is related.
Now, this is interesting, especially for a man to throw a shot at his family or his first family like that. It's pretty brutal. But shout out to Anton Daniels, because Anton Daniels would get Brian McKnight on a podcast and they would talk about it. And Brian McKnight would be very, very frank.
We separated 4 times before we ended up getting divorced ultimately anyway.
Really? How far into the marriage was would you say the first separation?
2 years.
Because you were married for what, 13 years?
Yeah, 13.
And so 2 years in, there was a separation.
Yep.
And then you come back and then it's another separation.
Yep.
Wow. So why not just break off? Why stick it out for 13 years?
For the kids.
And let me stop right there. That happens a lot. See, that's the difference between men and women, is that when two people get married, and when the woman gets unhappy or unsatisfied in the relationship, she leaves. Now, I'm not telling you to stay in a relationship that you're miserable and you just want to be out of it. But for the man, a lot of times, it's not so easy to leave, because when we leave, we lose the kids, we're going to lose a chunk of money, and we're going to have to still pay money as if we are still with that woman. Now, of course, a lot of that is taking care of the kids that we had with the woman. I get that. It depends on the amount, but the alimony should not be there unless if she was a stay-at-home mom, she didn't work. I'm not saying she stopped working once she had kids. I'm saying she never really worked at all. You took care of everything. Maybe you abused your power, because in that dynamic, sometimes the men do take full advantage of the situation, the same way women take full advantage when they are getting out of the situation. But a lot of times, that's why men will stay. I'm talking about decent men. And while he probably wasn't faithful, he probably still was a decent guy. Never heard anything about him beating on her or being totally nasty. Now, of course, I don't know that part of their relationship. But again, be very careful of the woman that you marry. And just because you are so happy right now and she's telling you she loves you so much 10 times a day, the sex is awesome and all that other stuff there, you better think, once that honeymoon phase, once that initial newness feeling wears off, who really is that woman? That's why I say go by her friends, go by her social media, go by the past things that she has done, unless if she is totally moving differently now. People can change, but most people do not, unless they are forced to. The same way, I think that's the only reason why a certain person is being nice to me now. This is because of the YouTube channel. It was nothing in that person for them to wake up and say, hey, I'm being a terrible person. The past is the past. We're not together. Maybe I should be nicer to the person, at least for the kid. No, that person still was being Hellraiser until I started doing this right here. So even if I didn't start making money and getting monetized and all that other stuff, at least I got some peace from letting all this stuff off my chest. A lot of men are not so lucky.
So he's saying, listen, me and her split up 4 times in 13 years, or separated before the divorce happened. But you know what? I wanted to stay with her for the kids. I was conflicted. And then the bombshell.
Listen, you're torn because I was never in love with their mother. I wasn't. They weren't made from love to begin with.
Woo! Wait, like what? Did this man say that the kids were not conceived out of love? So listen, guys, I know that certain men may or may not love their wives or ex-wives, but typically most men do love their kids because their kids are a part of them. All right. Now, many men don't get a chance to express their story, but in this particular situation, Brian McKnight would. And Brian McKnight talked about the struggles that he had with his older sons after, the divorce was finalized and, everything was cool. It had been some time before he would even get into the relationship. He was still relatively single. And he talked about the disrespect that he would get from his kids.
Kind of stuff going on.
So wait a minute. So they're with you.
They're with me.
But now they're starting to get out of control in a sense.
In the midst of all of this, I got these jokers in my house who will show up, come in and not even speak to me. Like, hell, Miss McKnight, thank you for having us or anything like that. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
The things that are going on. Both of their girlfriends are living at the house, along with all these other people who just, sleeping on the floor, sleeping,
So they're living like rock stars.
Oh, yeah, completely. Because when I'm gone, my cars are there. My bikes are there. Everything,
because you're on tour.
So he's talking about he coming home, weed in the house. People won't even speak to him. Nothing, not even acknowledging him. All right. And then once he found out his love was so strong for Leilani Mendoza, they had met, I believe, somewhere in LA. I believe that she was working for a fitness company. She has a PhD from UCLA. But, he fell in love with her. And he flew the next day to Seattle to see her and all this other stuff when she went back. But then once he got with her, that's when the real issues happened. His family, turned against him, his kids, because they saw him actually being happy. And, well,
the narrative about me was that I was incapable of loving somebody. I wasn't capable of being a faithful husband. I wasn't, capable. And he'll never get married. Oh yeah, he can act like this. He can put this woman on his Instagram, but he won't get married. Well, now he's getting married. Well, he's not going to get married. He's not going to go through with it. Even so much so that, it's crazy. When I was out in the street, doing everything under the sun, because I lived my 20s and my 30s.
Yeah.
As a single man.
Yep.
No problems. No anything.
So
Nothing.
It wasn't until you actually started to transition into really being that faithful,
right,
that person that they weren't expecting for you to become, that then it started to create that environment or that problem.
Because I wouldn't have become that for them.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. And this reminds me of something. About one of my last videos that I was saying that not all people are good and not all people are bad. The funny thing is a person can be a horrible person for you, but a very good person for somebody else. That's the funny thing right there. Now, it could be a thing of maybe they've reached a certain point of their life that they grew up or they grew out of that particular behavior and that person met them at the right time, or that person managed to bring out certain behaviors to make them be a better person because they challenged them in a way that you did not challenge them. So there's another dynamic, and that goes for both men and women right there. I guess a lot of times it hurts more for women. I'll use this example where a guy may be just dogging out women of a certain nationality, and then he goes to another nationality and he treats them like a princess. Now, I know a little bit of why that is, because for him, he put that particular nationality or that particular woman on a pedestal, but at the same time, that woman was acting differently, or better, but differently than what the other woman was that he was dealing with. And I know a lot of times that's hard for women to hear, but I think that also happens for men as well. That's why a lot of times when a dude is too nice to a woman and then she dogs him out and treats him a certain kind of way. Now, of course, I believe that woman is used to toxic behavior, but yet she gets with a guy that's toxic, that's cursing her out, that's more bossy than her. Basically, he's more toxic than what she is. And therefore, that makes her be feminine to him. And that's a lot of times, I think, when a woman is saying, I need a man that can handle me. I think what they mean is they need a man that's more toxic than what they are, that will get them to bow down to. Smart men will know that, okay, that's not me. Choose somebody else. That's a lot of times why I think some women, they go for men that are in prison or thugs, or because they need that type of dude. Maybe their father was like that. Maybe that was, and that's goes back again why I would usually say go by the men, not just the men that she dates, but the men she surrounds herself with, that she's always dealing with, because that is the type of dude that she needs. Get back to what this video is really about. Brian McKnight's side of the story and why he ended up cutting off his kids.
15. The oldest son has children of his own. Now, when he had the first one,
more than one.
When he had the first one, the woman that he had the children with went on, I think, welfare or something. Now, what I didn't know is when you get that assistance that you're accruing as the father.
Yeah.
You got to pay this back.
They're gonna come back and
they're gonna come back and get it.
Yeah.
His last address after I had moved them out of my house because I couldn't take the weed smoke and all that. But I told him, listen, here's an apartment. It's brand new. I'm going to pay for it for a year while y'all get yourselves together. You are now 25 and 22. 25 or 24 and 21.
So you were still trying to help them to become the men that they were supposed to be.
Right.
Even though they were fully grown adults.
Fully grown adults. 24 and 21. Here's your place. Now all your friends come over there. Be creative. You have all these people staying with you. Have them pay some rent. $100 here, whatever you have to do while you guys can get your music off the ground. They had produced a record at my house. It was out. It was doing well. My whole team put them at the Roxy on Sunset.
Yep.
They started doing live gigs. Not 50 people showed up the first time. The second one, maybe 75, 100 people showed up. It's going too slow. They quit. Here's this apartment. I'm going to pay for everything, but get your life together. Figure out what you're going to do. You have this much time. A year passes. They still haven't done it. I said, okay, I'll do another year. Here's your second year.
So they 26 at this point and 27 years old at this point.
They're 26 and 23 by then, right? But we're getting married.
Yeah.
I'm leaving to go out of the country, and I get detained because they're looking for him.
Yeah.
And we have the same name.
Yep.
He now has two from that same girl. And Leilani and I and her mother, we had sat them down and said, listen, what are y'all going to do? You got to get together. Well, she says to me, well, he told me you were going to pay for everything.
As a grown man?
When the second one comes, he comes and tells me that he just happened to be over there and she raped him. And I'm like, what? What is happening? This is where we are now?
Yeah.
So we go ahead and get married in a fairy tale ceremony. I'm going to give you all the videos so you can see it. About 6 months later, the oldest calls me. He's like, listen, I don't have a place to stay. Can me and my new girlfriend come live with y'all for a while?
Both of them?
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't even the original girl?
No.
Wow.
As a father, I had to put my foot down because if I give in to this again, I said, no, you're going to have to figure this out. You're now 26, 27 years old. You got these 2 kids you're not taking care of.
Yeah.
You got this woman who now he has another baby with.
So he a 2-time baby daddy.
So he's got this, and it's not about the baby daddy.
And I'm just, that's just what it is.
You got to take care of your business. I'm not here to take care of, I got my own stuff I got to deal with.
Yeah.
Take care of it. So now he's having to deal with things on his own. And that's when, in 2019, when we decided to leave LA, he goes on his Instagram and tells everyone that he was abandoned, that I abandoned him and his brother. Abandoned.
Yeah.
Wow. Look, I know some people that have both parents in the household let their older kids just kind of leech off of them. Now, sometimes a person does need help. And the only time I think that happens is if they have a life event that happened, whether it's an injury, loss of job, maybe a mental breakdown, but they don't stay in there. I faced eviction a couple of times in my life, maybe 3 times in my life. And both times, all times, which I'm not going to blame the other person, but the thing that I will always say is, if you're a woman with a man that you know that's trying his best and busting his ass, do not make it harder on him by letting him spend beyond his means. Getting back to what Brian McKnight was saying, he had said earlier in the video that his sons was at the point of just walking by him, not even paying attention to him. And that is the thing that I did not want with my daughter, which I don't mind she asked me stuff, but I do not never want to be like in some relationships. Well, I never was in a relationship like that, but I always got to probably the end point that maybe I would wonder, but I never want to feel like the only time they're calling me is when they want something. Okay, because then I feel like the ATM and I feel like I'm being used. The same way you women out there don't want the guy, anytime he's reaching for you, he's just trying to smash. Maybe he just wants to cuddle. Maybe he just wants to hold your hand. Maybe he just wants to feel your embrace or the closeness. But if he's only just reaching for you when he wants something, then you will feel a certain kind of way. Men feel the same kind of way when it gets to the point where the woman is just calling him or asking him for something when she needs a favor. And that includes women that have guy friends and so on. Anyway, now I'm going to put this a bit on him because obviously he was spoiling his sons, maybe because him and his ex-wife wasn't together. He spoiled them, and this is why I don't believe in spoiling them. Yes, get them some of the things that they want, but at the same time, also learn to say no. But I do think a lot of times when the man is not in the household, he kind of feels more obligated to just financially rain gifts on his kids, and he's not really teaching them anything. And at the same time, I don't know if their relationship, if maybe he wasn't able to see the kids, even though he didn't say anything like that. But either way, I believe both parents played a part in those men becoming how they was. Now, those men cannot blame the parents now, because once you are like 21, especially they are like 25, 26, it's up to them now to learn that despite the fact he was lucky enough to be born with a celebrity parent, that nobody's just going to give you stuff. You have to go out there and earn it. That is definitely a lesson that I think people that have money need to teach their kids. Every parent needs to teach them that, but I believe with celebrity parents or parents that have a lot of money, because a lot of times I think they get into that thing of they wasn't able to have stuff, so they try to spoil their kids. And that's exactly what you do. You spoil them and you create monsters. And it's cute when they're small, but once they throw in tantrums and it gets bigger, then it becomes a problem. So now I understand why he had cut his kid off. Because I also heard a thing about Jackie Chan cutting his son off from his will or something. now that definitely I have to think, because I'm like, God, what would that kid have to do? The only thing I could think is probably the kid probably threatened your life or something. But sometimes it's just a disrespect over time. Something happened that was unforgivable, that he just had enough. And with Brian McKnight, it was the fact that he got arrested in place of his son, who was not paying child support. Okay, that's why I don't mind paying, because I want to be free and clear once the time is up. So, what did we learn about this video? There's always two sides to a story. I'm pretty sure she has her more in-depth story as well, that proves that he wasn't a good husband and he didn't do this and that. However, I didn't concentrate really on her, but I want to concentrate definitely on the thing of why he took and cut his kids off. I will say the fact that he had to say that he was not in love with his ex-wife, kids wasn't conceived in love. I'm like, wow, gosh, yeah, that's bad. Now he does seem like he's in love with this woman, and this is why I won't put down single moms. Because who knows, once you get older, the chances of you coming across a woman that doesn't have a kid is going to be slim. Then you want to add on top that you want to find a woman that has good morals, a good heart, that knows how to treat her man. Maybe she learned a lesson from the last guy. My thing always was single moms. I won't say don't go with single moms, but I will say if you are a young man already, when you deal with a woman, she's going to be a financial liability. If she's coming with a kid as well, maybe you shouldn't do that if you are in your early 20s. If you're in your 30s, you should be somewhat starting to get established by now. Anyway, if you find a woman that you really like, and of course, if she's not putting on the show, then go ahead and do it. Just don't be quick to have a kid with her. Because I know a lot of times when a woman has a kid, then she wants to have a kid with the man that she's with. And that's always my thing, if she has a lot of kids from a lot of different guys. Because I don't want to be number 13 or 15. So that's it. Give me a like and subscribe. And I hope we learned something today. There's always two sides to a story. See you next time.
This is a day in the life of a divorced dad. At 9 a.m., I wake up on my mattress on the ground. For breakfast, I grab my ketchup so I can put it on my first microwave potato of the day. I eat in silence next to my roommate, Gary. He moved in because I couldn't afford my mortgage. Every straight single adult male's roommate is unnecessarily hairy. Around 11 a.m., something strange happens. I have a feeling. I immediately bottle it up and ignore it forever. At noon, I look over some divorce documents while Gary loudly watches adult videos. For lunch, I eat another microwave potato. This meal is the only warmth I know. At 2, I go through Instagram and DM college girls. I may be past my prime with no money, connection, sexual endurance, or personality, but at 3 p.m., my shrew of an ex-wife drops off my failed son Tyler. Me and her have a calm discussion about a few private matters. Some days I don't know why I fought so hard for joint custody. Tyler wants to be a rapper.
Man, I swear, my dad keeps testing me. I'ma turn around, tell the cops he molested me.
Hey, he's starting to get pretty good. At 6 p.m., it's time for dinner. I put a potato in the microwave for 3 minutes. The skin becomes rough and wrinkled, much like me, burning hot on the inside like the rage left in me from the divorce. I offer half my potato to my son. No butter, no seasoning. He declines. Clearly, his mother has been spoiling him. I leave my ex-wife an angry voicemail about how she ruined my life. After a few hours of sobbing, I slip into a food coma. I will sleep here until morning, and that's my day.